What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and with me today through the power of Zoom is Brian and Aaron from the band Defile the Crown. How you guys doing?
What's up? What's up?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
By the time this comes out, you will have just released your new EP, Razormouth. I gotta say, this is some of the best stuff you guys have ever made. So, first and foremost, congratulations. But also, the last time I talked to Aaron, he had just joined Defile the Crown. So, this question kind of goes to you, Brian. What made Aaron the best fit for Defile the Crown?
Stage presence was a huge thing. And even in our little, plywood practice space, the energy that he put off was just over the top, insane. I was like, that's what we need. That's gonna push what we've already done way over the edge. And I mean, he's just a killer fucking vocalist. But yeah, it's definitely the energy.
I think it's been about a year since the last time you and I talked on camera, Aaron. And that was like right after your first show with Defile the Crown. So after having more shows under your belt and new music out into the world, how has the journey been with Defile the Crown so far?
Man, it's really nice to be join something established, you know what I mean? Like having that backbone there and then them already kind of having a name. It's been super easy. I feel like it's been an easy year. It's been a little bit over a year now since I joined them, like you said. I feel like it's been a pretty good year. I feel like I told the guys at the last show in Greenville, I feel like we're establishing ourselves more and more as like a headline worthy band, especially like with the shows we're taking and the frequency we're playing shows. And I think it's really great to see the growth.
As far as the EP goes, obviously the thing that stuck out to me and probably most fans watching this is the new version of Frail. What was it like bringing your take on that song, having it already been, like you said, an established and it was already released and it had a reputation, to put your own spin on things? What was that experience like?
It was cool, Frail was the first song I learned from Defile the Crown. So when we had first linked up or people had suggested like trying out for them, I was like, hey, what kind of direction you guys kind of going? And Brian was like, we want to go heavier like Frail and or heavier than that. And I was like, okay, cool. Then I'll see what we can do with that. And so that was the first song I learned. So I had a lot of time to kind of like spend just putting my spin on it, like you said, over the last year or so. And recording it, instead of just going in and trying to emulate John, I think the hardest part is just making sure it sounds different, making sure it's the same song but it's different enough to call it a put a different title on it. Well, it's going to be Frail 24 obviously, but
Mhm.
still, rather than just being like re-recorded or whatever, we wanted to know people to know like it's basically a new track.
Yeah, it's a whole new energy. And when it comes to, because you guys are an independent band, so you guys probably have, you don't have to listen to a record label to say, oh, you can release this song first or do this at this date. So what's your decision-making process when it comes to choosing what songs to release as singles beforehand?
We
Right.
yeah, the songs that have come out, basically that was the order they were written in. Like
Hmm.
Razormouth was the first song that we wrote together. So that kind of just became what the EP was. We thought that would be a cool release, just release the title track right off the bat. This is the one we were most comfortable with, the one we went and recorded first. And then Lead Poisoning, that was not the second song we started, but definitely like it came around the fastest. I think what we were writing Knuckle and Bone, and it took us 2 months to write that song. I absolutely hated it, the original version of that song. Took us forever to get it like we wanted it, and I wrote Lead Poisoning in a night while trying to write that while trying to like fix that song. I just ended up writing that song in maybe a couple hours.
Oh my gosh. So was Knuckle and Bone the hardest song to write for the EP, or like the biggest headache?
Absolutely. Yeah. It went through so many renditions. Like I almost gave up on it. I was like, this sucks. But it's completely different now than what it was when it started. And, I think we had Where I Lay off the last record was the same way. Like it went through so many renditions there. There's always just the one that like once you finish the first session, it's like you go back and it's like, wow, this fucking sucks. And it just takes so much to like get it like you want it. And then others, come like nothing.
And Aaron, I've heard that you're kind of a perfectionist when it comes to recording and stuff like that. So at what point at what point do you make the call and say this is done, this is how it's going to be, this is just what it is?
Well, a lot of times your engineer kind of has like a limited amount of revisions built into the cost. So I really, really, really try to beat that so we don't end up paying extra because it already costs bands so much to record and travel and take off work just to, for a day or two of recording, So yeah, usually I just try to get it by the last revision we have that's free. Honestly, that's kind of like my deadline. But I mean, if something was dire and it needed to be fixed, we'd obviously pay for it. But like you said, you got to trust the man that you're putting your money in. So if I sat there and nitpicked all day, it would never get released, really. So that's I just learned to trust the engineer.
And what was it like working with Blake Matthews for this EP?
That was cool. We did it on 2 different days. So I went back and Brian and Frankie met me at the studio and so we could record gang vocals and stuff for the EP. But yeah, it was smooth. I think I record a lot differently than maybe they did Frail, with John, because I am, more of a perfectionist, and I like to do, even if some takes sound good, I like to redo them just because I know I can get a better one out of myself.
Hmm.
But you can't spend all day doing that. Honestly, we started out that day, and by the time we got through the first song, I was like, we ain't gonna get done today. But then we basically wham bam body slam like the next four. So we got all the vocals knocked out in one day. So it wasn't too bad at all.
Brian, I'm curious about this. On the topic of Frail, did you guys have to re-record your instrumental parts for that, or did you use the same tracks for as the previous version?
It's all the same tracks. We're honestly trying to save a little bit of time, but I mean, they still sounded phenomenal,
Yeah.
and with the same mix on it that he did all the new stuff. So I mean, it all come out sounding great. And we were trying to save as much time and money as possible. So I all the guitar tracks for all the new stuff were recorded, here. I just recorded them myself and sent them to him.
Hmm.
Trying to save a little bit of studio time because, like he said, when four people are working four different schedules and full time jobs, like it's a nightmare to get us all together.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm so glad that I'm a one-man band for this because it's hard enough to manage my own schedule. If I had to work around like four other people, it would be impossible to get anything done. Um, every time that you and I have talked, it's been in regards to the trap metal stuff. And I know you've been in some metal projects before you went into trap metal. So number one, what was it like to come back to metal? And also, have you been able to put your own spin on like, take what you learned from doing the trap metal stuff into what you're doing with Defile the Crown now? And what has that process been like?
Oh, that was great. Half the battle is having a damn drummer. I left metal. I think we discussed this before because finding a few guys that you can rely on that give a shit as much as you do is damn near impossible. Much less one of those guys knowing how to play drums for a heavy project. So coming back to an established band, like I said, that's been a super nice and something I'm not used to. Usually, I'm like composing a lot more, which I'm happy not to be. I still write all the lyrics, which is cool. I have that freedom, but no, that's been really cool. And as far as trap metal incorporating that, um, man, there's no singing on the new EP, but there's a lot of clean stuff.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think like that stuff, doing some of the trap yelling, but not like screaming, just like the loud recordings and shit. That kind of helped me. I wanted to have an edge where it just wasn't straight like I didn't want gutturals, everybody's doing gutturals. I didn't want it to be like just toilet bowl noises for, 20 minutes or whatever. So I feel like we incorporating those came from kind of like just having that edge, and trap metal helped a lot with like finding that sound that I wanted to put almost like old school hardcore or punk, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
Comeback Kid in you ever listen to Comeback Kid?
A little bit, yeah.
Some of their stuff is like, yelling, but it's not like hate breed yelling. It's like, you said, you said, you said. You know what I mean? Stuff like almost like more hardcore punkish, like old school than new school. And I think putting that blend in there is really cool. And plenty of people have said like that's kind of what made me like it a little bit more because they like stuff like Sleep Token,
Mm-hmm. My personal favorite song on the whole EP is The Heavy Toll of Self-Reflection. And so I gotta ask, like musically, lyrically, I love that song. So do you guys have any recollections of what the writing or recording process for that song was?
I know I had asked Brian to I was like, man, a lot of these new songs they have a lot of vocals, like there's a lot of words, period, coming from doing the trap stuff, it's really easy to like try to squeeze in every little thing you can and like create layers out of it. So I'd asked Brian, I was like, man, I want to write, like not a softer song, but lyrically wise, it's softer than the other ones. But I want a long intro. So I said, Brian, I need a song with a long intro, mostly so I can have a break during live shows and just catch my breath for a second. And that's when he started working on the Heavy Toll, and that was before it was called the Heavy Toll of Self-Reflection. We were still churning the old gears.
Yeah, he's right. That was exactly how I started. He was like, man, I need a break during our set. He was like, I need like a minute of nothing for me. And I was like, I'll see what I can do. So that's kind of how that came about. We still wanted to keep it, like he said, not like soft, but like it is more. It's not as in your face, at least right to start with. Toward the end, it ramps up a little bit, but it is a little more reserved.
Obviously, there are a lot of different lyrical there's different lyrical subjects and messages. And musically it's all over the place. It's very in your face. It's very introspective at times. If there's is there a concrete like takeaway that you want people to come away with from listening to this? If they could come away with one message or anything like that.
I guess lyrically, I would probably say, stick with it through your dark days. It's a pretty somber 5 songs, not including Frail, but it's a pretty somber, especially the Heavy Toll of Self-Reflection. I usually do a little speech, before we play that song. But yeah, I would just say stick with it through your dark days. It may get better.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a hard fucking life. There's a lot of shit going on. Like it's easy to give up. It's so easy to give up. It seems like that's all you can do sometimes. But if you stick with it, like you said, it may get better. It may not. But fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball.
I love that. Oh my God, that's the best.
There's always some heavy fucking music out there that you can listen to that's gonna make you feel better. So
That's
even just a
very
little bit.
true. That's very true. Well, to lighten the mood a little bit, I guess, I have a speed round for you. I know you're familiar with this, Aaron.
Hell yeah.
But because this is my first interview with you guys as a group, these questions might sound a little bit similar. So I got 10 questions and you can elaborate, you can go on a tangent. I don't really care what you do. I don't have a timer. But we can start with Brian and then go with you, Aaron. The first question, your favorite song to play live?
Knuckle and bone. Um, that one is just so in your face. That breakdown at the end is, I don't know. I love it, and I love just it's Defile the Crown 2024, motherfuckers. That is the most in your face call out that we could think of. It's so fun to do. It's so fun to watch people's reactions because they're not expecting it. Even when we did it in the studio, it was like Blake laughed his ass off just because he wasn't expecting it.
You know what? I'm gonna have to say Lead Poisoning for this one.
Hmm.
I think starting that, picking that as our first song is a statement. Sometimes I tell Brian I hate to be the band that follows us at some of these shows because we just go out there and start out hard, and Lead Poison is the first, right when it starts, dead weight. It's you know it right then, and I think that's just the best way we could possibly start our set, and I love doing it every time we play live.
The next question, your favorite city to play in?
So
Oh,
far, it's been Greenville. Like I live in Greenville. I'm right. I can walk to Alley Cat where we played. And to be such a small venue, like it was one of the best crowds we've ever played for. Like they were hooked the entire time, and I think that had to do with Becky, the band that hopped on that show with us. Kyle Whitmer, shout out Kyle.
shout out Kyle.
Yeah, fucking phenomenal guy. Love him to death. And I feel like they brought most of that crowd because most people in Greenville don't know us. Like I had some people come out from work, but they seem to love every second of it. It was absolutely insane. It was a fucking war zone in that 45 cap venue.
I'm gonna go with I have to say Wilmington, you know. I got a lot of love for Wilmington. We've been booking the Barzar, which was like not known for metal shows, and we've been building it up every time. Sometimes the crowd isn't as crazy, and sometimes they go pretty hard, but the camaraderie there is really why I like the Barzar. Super laid back shows. We see a lot of familiar faces there. I feel like people always come to show us love in Wilmington, so I think I'm gonna go with Wilmington.
That's fair. I mean, I live in Jacksonville, so I'm really biased to hooligans, but Wilmington has gotten really it. I really like Wilmington. The next one, the band, artist, or song that made you first want to become a musician.
Mm, fuck. It was honestly it was some mixture of like 80s hair bands, and a little bit of like 70s hard rock, if you can call it that, like AC/DC and shit like that.
Hmm.
Uh, Probably the one in particular, Motley Crue. That was something my parents always had on. Went and saw them live in 2015 on their farewell tour. Uh, but yeah, it was just that. Mig Mars, like the riffs were insane. The riffs and the solos were absolutely insane. So that just kind of that made me want to pick up a guitar, honestly.
You won't, but Brian, you'll probably think this one's funny, but I might have to say Limp Bizkit. I remember writing, I'm a 90s
Oh
baby,
yeah.
so I remember writing the Limp Bizkit fan club a letter back then and being like, man, I'm trying to start a band called Kid Biscuit. And I was wondering if I can use your dog's name because dog Biscuit is Fred Durst's dog name. And my mom probably never even sent the damn thing, but that's probably when I was like started actually pinning stuff out. It wasn't even serious, but I might have to say Limp Bizkit.
I
Uh,
never knew that about you. I love that.
It's crazy because that was when they were, coming up, That was like when what's the second not It's Significant Other, yeah.
Hmm.
When that one dropped, and everything started going really big for him.
Yeah, I love break stuff as much as the next guy. Um, the next one, this might be a similar answer. The one band or artist that you want to collaborate with the most.
mm. Kubla Khan.
I'm
That
on
was that was one of the coolest live shows I've ever seen in my life. Like either collaborate in the studio, tour with, fucking insane.
I'm on the other side of the pond and gotta go with Paleface. I don't know. Something about
Mhm.
Paleface just it satisfies my deathcore urges for violence and also like the hardcore, and they got songs with like landmarks where there's like rapping in it almost. It's Paleface is legit.
Your favorite band that you opened for.
Fuck.
I never heard of them.
Aaron, go ahead. I gotta think about that one.
I gotta say Filth. That show went so fucking hard. And I've been listening to Filth, that's North Carolina deathcore. So I've been listening to Filth for fucking a decade now, and to see them like blow up in the last little bit like they have, you know, thanks to social media, they've got some crazy videos out there that's gotten them a lot of notoriety. But yeah, when we did that Heavy Hitter and Phil show, we were the first band, and I mean, I remember saying we're the best opening band ever, like on stage, because the people would, it started out they came for the violence, you know.
I'm gonna go off that same show. Heavy Hitter was fucking insane. Like I listened to some of their music beforehand, but God, that shit was like you said, that shit was violent. It was absolutely insane.
I heard some stories about that show, and I was like, man, I wish I was there.
I wish I had been to the one the day before at the Eagles there. That was
Oh yeah,
house. I think somebody went to the hospital that night. Like it was, yeah.
that sounds about right. Your most embarrassing moment on stage.
There's a picture. I don't know if it's still on my Instagram. I think I was trying out a new wireless unit in South Carolina in Spartanburg at Ground Zero, and it cut out on me. Like sound check went completely fine. Started the first song, it was cutting out, and I didn't really know what to do. I had an extra cable, so halfway through our set, I ripped it out and put the cable in, but I didn't wrap the. So I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about this, but it's a common rule that when you play live with a cable, you wrap it around your guitar strap.
Hmm.
I didn't do that. I was in a hurry. I just stuck it in. I never stepped on the cable, never ripped it out. But there's a picture of me with this cable just sticking straight out of my guitar, and Cody Boyette ripped my fucking ass for it. And I think there was a bunch of other comments on it after that. But Cody Boyette ripped he was like, "How the fuck did you not wrap it around the strap?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, bro. I was in a hurry. I didn't know." So just now that picture is out there somewhere, it makes me, yeah,
I'm
less
gonna
of
be
a
looking for that later.
less of a man for that.
What about yours?
Oh, I butchered. I was just telling Brian the story the other day. I butchered a I used to be in like this acoustic. We did some originals, but it was mostly like emo songs that we covered, and we did an acoustic cover of Drive one time by Incubus, and
Hmm.
dude, we butchered it. It was so bad. But immediately after that, we played a cover by Katy Perry, and the place went crazy. So we kind of got redemption with the hot and cold, you know.
What are the odds Hot and Cold makes it on a Defile the Crown set list?
I don't know about that one.
They're higher than
Maybe.
a
I'm
fucking
not gonna say.
Incubus song.
Yeah, not gonna say yes. I'm not gonna say no.
Pop Goes Core? I mean, come on.
Bringing it
We
back.
could we could probably do it.
Oh my gosh. Your dream tour lineup.
Shit, I think we've already said it. Paleface, Kubla Khan, Defile the Crown.
Is that yours too, Aaron?
I mean, that'd be a solid ass tour, you know. I might have to take, we might have to throw one of the homeboys on Donnie Brook, maybe
Mm.
opening. Dunmaru, shout out Tanner, sexy man. He'll appreciate that. All right. You guys, you will understand.
I'll make sure he sees this.
I will too.
A place you haven't performed yet that you really want to.
Um, I've never played at the Milestone in Charlotte. I've heard good things about that. I've seen they got a lot of cool shit. I think Southpaw just came through. I don't know if I think they. I don't want to say that they sold it out, but I think they did. Um, I think we've played a couple smaller venues up there, but we've never played there. So I'd love to get out that way and play the Milestone.
Man, I want to go to Texas. I don't know why. There's so many like I've been wanting to go to Texas from the trap metal stuff because there's such a great scene out there, and like people go crazy at those shows. And I see a lot of people who go to those shows, they go to freaking metal shows too. So I think like Texas, Houston, or even like as far west as like Phoenix. All those places have really cool scenes out there that I like to see what they're all about.
Yeah, that's definitely a great collective scene in Texas for rock, for country, for trap, for any type of music. There's always a big market for it in Texas. I've got some friends down there, and it's like we got to go to some shows if and when I ever make it to Texas, we got to go to some shows down there.
I would
Um,
love it.
Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
Drink.
That tracks.
I can't follow
Drink and
that.
work.
Um, I like man, I like being a dad, honestly. I'm gonna have maybe some people might think that's corny, but that's probably my favorite thing to do. And I got a lot of hobbies, but as much as it makes me pull my non-existent hair out sometimes, being a dad is it's awesome.
Again, you're a really good dad from what I've seen too. I know you take a lot of pride in that, and I've seen your son at a couple shows, and it's really cool to see you guys together. As someone who goes to a lot of shows with my own dad, it's really cool to see.
Hey, I appreciate that. Shout out Bad Dad Squad.
I was going to say, yeah, you don't even know this man's the president of the Bad Dads Club.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. Good times. And the last question for this speed round, and it's always my favorite one to ask, the song you wrote that means the most to you.
Not even on this record. Silhouettes. Not to take anything away from anybody else, but like that was kind of all me. I mean, I write most of the instrumentals anyway, but I wrote the lyrics for that song. Was going through some shit, so that one, really helped me. Even though we don't play it anymore, it's kind of nice to revisit every once in a while, just because it meant a lot to me and it helped me a lot.
If I picked one off the record, I'd probably say The Heavy Toll of Self-Reflection. But overall, that same acoustic band, that's my buddy Neil and I. We wrote a song called Clean Sheets, and that's a really good one. It's basically like to begin anew.
I'm gonna have to check that out. What was the name of the band?
Oh, yeah, there's no music of that online, honestly, but it was in a like Narcotics Anonymous, or not available really, or not applicable. But it was Neil and Aaron, so that was kind of like, it was never meant to be anything really. But then people started coming to see us, so we kind of started writing some actual shit. But that was a lot of fun. It
Hmm.
kind of kept me into music in between bands.
Well, just like that, that was everything I had for you guys. Did you have any closing message or any plugs you want to make? Because I know you guys have a bunch of shows coming up. Anything like that?
The shows are a good plug. Brian, you wanna make a
Oh yeah.
speech?
Well, by the time you see this, Razormouth will be out. Love it, listen to it, jam it. We'll be out on the road with Denialist and Sustenance the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, all over the fucking place. Greensboro, Spartanburg, Chesapeake. It's gonna be fun playing with Norma Jean on the 28th in Jacksonville. It's gonna be a good time. September's gonna be busy, but we're here for it.
Well, just like that, to everyone who watched this, thank you for watching. Definitely stream the new Defile the Crown EP Razormouth if you haven't already, or do it some more. Um, thank you, Brian and Aaron, for the time, of course, and I'll definitely see you at a show soon. And to everyone who watched this, again, thank you for watching. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.